A two-day conference on trust building and governance in Hong Kong and Macau was held at the Institute in October. The conference consisted of 6 panels, where scholars, politicians, and think tank researchers explored questions of trust building and governance in the 2 special administrative regions, and also the implications of trust building in Taiwan and the Cross-Strait region. Let's have a quick look at the highlights of the first day conference.
Trust has been affecting in many ways the governance of Hong Kong, and to some extent in Taiwan and Macau.
Municipal officials' accountability system has to be reviewed urgently, and the loopholes have to be tackled quickly. For example,
populism is the movement from national citizenship to universal personhood, where rights are deterritorialized. Rights don't come with the nation state anymore, they are human rights.
So many people don't trust Sima Leung because of his language. Find it difficult to trust a person when you don't know what he said.
For the people there in the movement are very cohesive, trust, a lot of sharing, etc., and transparent. But it seems that when we go to the vertical relationship, the government and the people is fear more than trust.
I think it's all wrong. I think basically there should be an overall article saying that the Hong Kong special administrator should be highly autonomous in the sense that it can conduct all governmental, it has all governmental powers except on matters relating to defense and foreign relations.
Sometimes in Hong Kong these days, a lot of people find it very difficult to understand exactly what the government means, what the new chief executive Leung is trying to convey.
The government is not entitled to the full array of instruments in otherwise a more democratic society that they could.
The lack of political talents, the lack of policy research, or the government is lacking of a mobilization mechanism, or directing our attentions to the underperformance of the Hong Kong SL government.
But in fact, we have to go into the more important question of how do we build trust. I mean, assuming it's no point crying over spilt milk, but standing at this point, looking at the basic law, what are the ways, what can we do to build the trust from here?
Introductions of universal suffrage, there may be other reforms that are necessary to improve the people's evaluations on the performance on the government, may also help rebuild people's trust.
Parties in the past decade or so have invested lots of resources in cultivating support or maintaining a local network at the district council levels.
That also was very important was the media. Media were instrumental in maintaining these sorts of attitudes about what was trustworthy and what was not.
If we take the wisdom from comparative politics, we find that among all the 3 kinds of political systems in the world, namely full democracy, semi-democracy, autocracy, it is the semi-democracy that is most promising of political instability because of 3 mechanisms.
Trust in government are declining. We should take it seriously that it is in fact citizens' sensible response to government failings. Declining trust in government is more likely a failure of government trustworthiness than a failure of citizen trustfulness.
Trust in the local government is an important component of the general public sentiment affecting the governability of Hong Kong society, and I would say most society. But in a way,
So there is a question raised of whether or not trust, liking, emotive states really play a role, and how big of a role do they play in elections when you're electing people to represent you and protect your interest. All right. What's also
we can easily draw a conclusion that China today is facing a very severe, you can say, confidence crisis vis-a-vis the government, or maybe trust crisis vis-a-vis the government.
The party in this process can't do much. This is why I explain why Hong Kong has a very fragmented political system. None of the fragmented political party system. None of the political party can play a leading role. So this is why they don't have very high degree of trust over the government.
Young people, the post-80s, post-90s, in the front line of organizing the social movements. What I see is an increasing awakening towards or emergence of political and historical or cultural subjectivity and agency among this younger generation.
The way of electing the student representatives can be really meaningful. Some of them, as well I know, is based on appointment by the school authorities, and some of them is actually indirect election. Students cannot nominate the cabinets, but only the school being endorse their participation. Really limited choices.